Hey grade 12s, here's the second part of lesson 16, and it's pretty much all just in the Google Doc. This Google Doc is going to be there for you, and you'll see that the first part is the sales tax problem. I've copied and pasted the code, and I believe it's very similar to what I had. It has all the same topics or concepts. Here's the second part, so I'll just explain this to you. So setting two objects equal to each other, this is important in lesson 16. So when you have, let's say you had a circle object called circ1, and it had, as its property, 13.5 was going into its state variable. Then we had another circle object called circ2 that didn't have any. It wasn't initialized. It didn't have that parameter sent into it. Well, if you use the equal sign, so if you point circ2, if you do circ2 equals circ1, what happens is it actually points to circ1. So circ2 will now point to circ1, and it will effectively refer to the same object. So what you should get out of this is that this line here, circ space circ2, that doesn't actually create the object. All it does, it doesn't instantiate the object, doesn't create an instance of the object from the class. It just says, okay, Java, we want to make a circle object called circ2, but just get the pointer ready. Don't actually do anything with it yet. It's the equal sign and what comes to the right of the equal sign that creates the actual object or instantiates it. So by having that equal sign and pointing it to circ1, you're just pointing, it's basically, you've got another name for the same thing. Okay, so it points to the same physical object. Here's another example. We've got rectangles this time. So we've got rec1 and rec2. They've got two parameters. The first one is, I guess, 9 and 4, and the second one is also 9 and 4. So they have the same values, but they're two separate physical objects. So, and here's what you need to see down here. When you use the two equal signs to compare to see if these objects are the same, well, circ1 is the same as circ2 because it points to the same physical object, but rec1, even though the values, it's like two cars coming out of the factory, they're both blue sports cars and they both have the same amount of charge in their electric battery, and they have all the same options and everything, but they're two distinct objects. So in that case, rec1 and rec2 would return false if you use two equal signs. All right. And in addition to that, if you use the dot equals method, it will also return false. Now strings are a bit different. I'm going to just be back in a second. Okay, so with strings, you can see in this program, we've got two strings, str1 and str2. They're two distinct objects from the string class, but they have the same value. So they're both set to the string Notre Dame. When we check for equality using the dot equals method, the dot equals method will say, yes, these two strings are the same because the contents are the same. However, when you use the equals method, it returns false. So the physical object itself is str1 is different than the physical object str2, so it will return false. So as a note, the dot equals method with strings just compares to see if the contents are the same. They can be separate objects. So in summary, with strings, the dot equals method returns true if the state variable is the same, even if they are separate objects. But with all other objects, the dot equals method returns false in all cases if they are separate objects, even if their contents are identical. Equals works the same for all object types. So equals will only return true if they point to the same physical object. I hope this helps you with lesson 16. The work is posted there. So when you go to the Google Drive, you're going to scroll down till you see 16. Here's what you'll see And I hope that, let's see if you can actually see that. Yes, you can. So you will be able to see the document that I was just working on. That's this one. And then the exercises are in 16B. The solutions are there as well. I would recommend not looking at them until you try the exercises. If you get stuck, go ahead and look at them. Let's take a look at these exercises. The gas mileage project. The gas mileage project will be marked. I'm going to ask you to turn that in. By now you've probably heard that your mark cannot drop from whatever it was from midterm. It could only go up. I'm making an effort to make it so that not everyone's going to have a 90 or 99% at the end of the semester. You will have to complete all the online work in order to do it. However, it's only 3 hours of work a week, so there's only so much we can do. Now, I do not have the gas mileage solution here. I am going to ask you to submit the gas mileage solution, and I'm going to make a spot for that momentarily. So that's all for lesson 16. Hopefully that helps. I'll see you next time. So